The first word is however. However is a more advanced synonym for but. So instead of using but, you should get into the habit of using however. It's a little more formal, a little more advanced, so it will get you more points on the test. It's important to remember, though, that however requires that you start a new sentence. Here's what I mean. I like chocolate ice cream, but my sister likes vanilla. In this sentence, but comes in the middle of the sentence. If you use however instead, you need to start a new sentence. I like chocolate ice cream, period, new sentence. However, my sister likes vanilla. Next is from my perspective. This is a more advanced synonym for I think that. I think that it is important for children to participate in physical activities. Or you can say, from my perspective, comma, it is important for children to participate in physical activities. Next, challenging. This is a more advanced synonym for hard or difficult. Learning English can be hard. Learning English can be challenging. Furious. This is a more advanced synonym for angry or mad. After his friend broke his toy, he was angry. Or, after his friend broke his toy, he was furious. Thrilled. This is a more advanced synonym for excited. She was excited when she received a scholarship to study abroad. She was thrilled when she received a scholarship to study abroad. I can make out. This is a more advanced synonym for I see. Here's an example. In this image, I see a road. Or it would be a little better to say, in this image, I can make out a road. The difference is that I can make out implies that you can see something, but that it is difficult to see. This is why it's useful for picture description. In this picture, yes, we can see the road, but it's a very small part of the image, so it's difficult to see. That's why it would be more precise to say, I can make out a road, meaning I can see it, but it's difficult to see. Elderly. This is a more advanced synonym for old, and we use elderly when describing people specifically. For example, this image depicts an old man with sunglasses. This image depicts an elderly man with sunglasses. So elderly is the more polite way to describe the age of somebody. So it can be considered rude to call somebody old, but it is considered polite to call them elderly. Also remember that elderly only works with people. If you are describing a building, then you should use the word historic, so a building or a place. It's also a more advanced synonym for old. For example, in this image, there is an old building. It would be better to say, in this image, there is a historic building. Sizable. This is a more advanced synonym for big. So notice how size is inside of sizable. So it means literally something that has great size or is big. They recently purchased a big house. Or they recently purchased a sizable house. Fascinating. This is a more advanced synonym for interesting. She finds subjects like math and physics interesting, while her brother likes foreign languages. She finds subjects like math and physics fascinating, while her brother likes foreign languages. In general, when you want to improve the vocabulary that you use to score higher on the Duolingo English Test, what you should aim to do is use more specific language. So, interesting is a general term that can be used in different contexts. However, fascinating is more precise. It means that the subjects, math and physics, really capture her attention. They fascinate her. And because it's more precise, it's a stronger description of what you are talking about, and therefore you will gain more points for using more advanced, more precise vocabulary. Intelligent. This is a more advanced synonym for smart. He is a smart child who always does well in school. He is an intelligent child who always does well in school. Wealthy. This is a more advanced synonym for rich. They are a rich family with many cars and houses. Or they are a wealthy family with many cars and houses. Impoverished. This is a more advanced synonym for poor. So we have rich and poor, and we have wealthy and impoverished. This is another trick for the DET, is to learn synonyms and antonyms because you can use them together, which is a trick that I describe in another video. For example, that is a poor neighborhood with a lot of crime. That is an impoverished neighborhood with a lot of crime. So like we discussed with old versus elderly, the word poor can be considered impolite. So just to describe a place or a person as poor is a little mean. It's kinder, more polite to use the word impoverished. Strolling. This is a more advanced synonym for walking. For example, this image depicts a couple walking under some trees. Alternatively, we could say this image depicts a couple strolling under some trees. When you have pictures where there's people walking, you should use strolling instead. The difference is that strolling implies that they are walking, but they're not in a hurry. Maybe they're trying to get somewhere, or maybe they're just taking a walk for exercise. And as they are walking, they are looking around and enjoying what they see and talking with one another. Amusing. This is a more advanced synonym for funny. My brother always has funny stories to tell. My brother always has amusing stories to tell. Significant. This is a more advanced synonym for important. My family is an important part of my life. My family is a significant part of my life. Delicious. This is a more advanced synonym for good, and it applies specifically to food. For example, in this image, we can see some food that looks really good. Or, in this image, we can see some food that looks delicious. So like we talked about with interesting, good is another example of a word that you can use in so many different contexts. So you can describe many things as good or as bad. But you should avoid using very general words like that on the Duolingo English Test because they won't get you as many points as more precise words like delicious. So if you use a precise word like delicious when describing food, you will get a lot more points than if you use a more general or generic word like good. So a tip for you is, as you're preparing for the test, get in the habit of noticing when you use words over and over, like interesting or important or good, and learn synonyms for those words that are more appropriate for specific contexts. That's an easy way to learn more advanced vocabulary that will get you a higher score on the test. Next is gritty. This is a more advanced synonym for dirty, and it applies specifically to cities. For example, this image depicts a dirty street corner. So you can see there's graffiti, the sidewalk looks dirty, maybe there's some trash or litter. Or we could say, this image depicts a gritty street corner. So gritty is a way to describe a dirty place, but in a city. So you wouldn't describe a gritty place in nature. For example, where there's a lot of mud or something. It really only applies to a place in a city that is not clean, where you would not want to live or visit. Noisy. This is a more advanced synonym for loud. For example, my upstairs neighbors are so loud. Or, my upstairs neighbors are so noisy. Straightforward. This is a more advanced synonym for simple. The app makes it simple to learn a new language. The app makes it straightforward to learn a new language. Notice how straightforward is one word, and it's straight and forward combined into one. I like straightforward because it has a nice mental image. So if you imagine something that is simple or straightforward, that means that you can do it by moving forward in a straight line. If something is complicated, in order to complete it or do it, you have to go like this, sideways, and figure out all of these things. But something that is straightforward means you just can go forward in a straight line. It's very easy. It's very direct. So hopefully that helps you remember straightforward, that mental image. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a like. That way I know that I should keep making videos like this. And please consider subscribing to the channel. We would really appreciate it. The final thing is, if you would like me to make a video about a particular topic, please be sure to put a comment down below with what you would like me to cover. I want to be sure that I make the videos that are most helpful to you. All right, from here, I would recommend checking out our other videos on useful vocabulary for the DET. I'll see you over in that lesson.